Text ID equals M7X2V9. The fog rolled into Riverside faster than usual that morning. 1 second I could see the road outside the gas station. The next everything disappeared. No trees, no houses, no sky, just white. Thick white fog swallowing the entire town. I remember standing near the front window holding my shotgun and thinking one thing. Fog meant trouble. In Knox County, visibility gets people killed, especially after the infection, especially alone. The emergency broadcast warned survivors about heavy fog all the time. Reduced visibility, increased migration activity, avoid travel, stay indoors. But that morning felt different, too quiet. Usually you could hear them eventually. Distant banging, moaning, footsteps dragging across pavement. The infected were never truly silent. But during that fog there was nothing. Not even birds. Not even wind. The silence made the town feel abandoned in a way I had never experienced before. Like Riverside itself had disappeared. I stayed inside the gas station for hours, listening, watching, waiting for movement outside the windows. Nothing came. Around noon I heard something strange. Footsteps. Not infected footsteps. Normal footsteps. Slow, steady, crunching softly across gravel outside. I froze immediately. No survivor would casually walk around during fog that thick. Not unless they were desperate. Or stupid. The footsteps stopped directly outside the front door. Then came knocking. 3 slow knocks. I raised the shotgun but didn't answer. Nobody spoke. Nobody moved. Then another 3 knocks. Slower this time. I stepped closer to the window beside the entrance and tried looking outside. Nothing. Only white fog pressed against the glass. Then I noticed something. A silhouette. Tall. Standing perfectly still outside the gas station. I couldn't see a face. Just the outline of somebody watching the building. I shouted through the door. "Who are you?" No answer. The figure didn't move. Didn't react. Just stood there. Then suddenly the emergency broadcast radio behind me activated by itself. Static exploded through the station. I turned around instinctively, and the second I looked back at the front door, the silhouette was gone. No footsteps. No movement. Nothing. The radio crackled for several seconds before the familiar voice returned. Calm. Emotionless. Do not follow movement inside the fog. I stared at the radio for a long time. Then the broadcast repeated itself. Do not follow movement inside the fog. Something about the wording bothered me. Not infected. Not people. Movement. That night the fog became even thicker. I boarded the remaining windows and blocked the front entrance with shells from inside the station. I barely slept. Every few hours I heard movement outside. Sometimes footsteps. Sometimes scratching. Sometimes something brushing against the walls of the building. But whenever I looked outside there was never anything there. Around 2 a.m. I heard knocking again. 3 slow knocks. Exactly the same as before. This time it came from the back door. I aimed my flashlight toward the storage hallway leading behind the station. The knocking continued. Slow. Patient. Almost polite. I remember trying to convince myself it was another survivor, but deep down I already knew it wasn't. Then I heard something worse. Breathing. Right outside the back door. Slow breathing. Wet breathing. Like somebody standing inches away from the metal door. The emergency radio activated again. Static filled the room. Then the voice whispered, "Do not let them know you can hear them." The breathing stopped immediately. Complete silence. I slowly backed away from the hallway. Then something tapped softly against the door. Not knocking. Tapping. Like fingernails. I didn't move for the rest of the night. At sunrise the fog still hadn't lifted. That scared me more than anything. Fog in Knox County never lasted that long. I packed supplies into my backpack and decided to leave Riverside before dark. The gas station no longer felt safe. Every second inside that building felt wrong, like something outside was waiting patiently for me to make a mistake. The streets were impossible to see through. I could barely make out abandoned cars 10 feet away. The fog swallowed everything else. I moved slowly between buildings, trying not to make noise. That's when I noticed something strange about the infected. They weren't wandering normally. They were standing still, completely still, dozens of them, silent shapes frozen inside the fog. None of them reacted to me. None of them moved at all. They were all facing the same direction, toward the deeper part of town, toward the fog. I remember feeling cold immediately, because infected don't stand still. They roam, they chase, they make noise. But these ones looked like they were waiting. Then one of them suddenly turned its head toward me. Not the body, just the head, slowly, almost unnaturally. I raised my weapon immediately, but the infected didn't attack. Instead, it stepped backward into the fog, then disappeared. A few seconds later, I heard footsteps again. Human footsteps, walking somewhere nearby. I couldn't see who was making them, but I knew they were close. The sound circled around me slowly between abandoned cars and buildings. Crunch, 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 always nearby, never visible. Then a voice called out from inside the fog. Help me! A woman's voice, distant, panicked. Please help me? I almost moved toward the sound immediately. Almost. But then I remembered the emergency broadcast. Do not follow movement inside the fog. The voice cried out again, closer this time. Please. They're behind me. Something about it sounded wrong. Not fake, not robotic, just empty. Like somebody pretending to sound terrified without understanding fear. Then the voice repeated the exact same scream again. Same tone, same words. Exactly identical. Every hair on my neck stood up. I backed away slowly without making noise. The footsteps stopped immediately. Then the fog ahead of me shifted. Shapes started appearing inside it. Tall shapes. Too tall. Standing between the abandoned cars. Watching me, one of them stepped forward slightly. I finally saw enough to understand something was horribly wrong. Its body looked human, but the arms were too long. The legs bent strangely, and the face looked blurred, like my eyes refused to focus on it. The emergency broadcast suddenly erupted through nearby car radios all at once. Every abandoned vehicle around me activated simultaneously. Static screamed through the street. Then the same emotionless voice echoed from every direction. Do not look directly at them. I shut my eyes instantly. I don't even know why. Instinct maybe. Survival. I just ran blindly through the fog while the radios screamed around me. The footsteps chased me immediately. Fast now. No longer hiding. I heard multiple sets of footsteps sprinting behind me. Not infected. Something else. Something heavier. I crashed through fences and nearly fell twice running through streets I couldn't even see. Then suddenly I burst out of the fog. Just like that. Clear air. Sunlight. Blue sky. I collapsed near the edge of the highway, gasping for breath. Behind me the fog still covered Riverside completely. Like a wall. Too thick. Too solid. And standing inside that fog I could see silhouettes watching from the distance. Perfectly still. I never went back to Riverside after that day. The emergency broadcasts eventually stopped completely. No more warnings. No more static. Nothing. But sometimes during heavy weather I still hear footsteps outside my shelter at night. Slow footsteps. Circling the walls. Waiting. And whenever fog starts rolling in again I leave immediately. Because I still remember the final thing the emergency broadcast said before going silent forever. They only appear when observed.